The implied endorsements, the two types of implied endorsements I wanted to talk about were customer, things that use the common man as an implied endorsement, and things that use celebrities. So in connection with the common man, there's FTC guidance talking about the fact that if you present something as the typical customer, then that person better be an actual customer. Now there's a different standard between if there's a TV commercial and you've got people sitting in a false kitchen, and it's an actual commercial, and Leave It to Beaver set, and people are sitting in the kitchen, the reasonable consumer will recognize that those are actors. But if you go out on the street and you have the semblance of holding up a microphone to average passersby on the street, those better be real consumers, because you're conveying the message that they are real consumers. Or if you say something like, at this grocery store, Miss Jones is a regular customer, a mother of two, and so forth, there better be a real Miss Jones. You can't just make up people and yeah.
What about people that are portraying the employees at the store?
Sorry?
What about people that are portraying the employees at the store?
Do they have to be real employees? It depends on if a reasonable person would really expect those people to actually be real employees of the store. Now, in a Home Depot commercial where a brawny guy is helping somebody do something, and it's clearly an actor, nobody would expect that to be an actual employee. But if it's an employee testimonial, for example, this is a great place to work, or I've helped people do this kind of a plumbing exercise multiple times, then you start to cross the line and you start to get into what is the message that I'm conveying. Am I conveying a message that this is a real employee, or is it presumed that people recognize this as as a set with actors? So it's a tough situation, but it's something, to my mind, the best thing to do in this type of a situation is just to be very cognizant of stepping back from your ad before it runs and saying, what is the message in this ad? What am I conveying here? Am I conveying a message that this is a real consumer or this is a real employee? Will a reasonable person realize that I'm not really talking about a real person or not? And that's how you can gauge when you step back and assess what your message is, you can assess the truth or falsity of that message. Yeah?
Can you have an actor portray a real customer?
Well, if it's like we were just talking about, if it's a Home Depot commercial and there's and they're clearly actors, they're not talking, there's no dialogue, you're just showing a scene, then the reasonable expectation, unless there are other circumstances, would be that these people are actors. But if it's an actor portraying a real customer, and that person is being portrayed as a real customer and with a name or with a speaking part or whatever, and it's not a real customer, then you could have a problem. That's a false testimonial. And the FTC, like many things, provides great, incredibly fine-tuned details on this. So if anybody has an interest in that, just contact me afterwards and I'll shoot you that website. There's a whole 4 or 5 pages of hypotheticals about when something would or would not be viewed by the FTC as false advertising. Physicians prefer. If you say that in your ad, they better be real physicians. And if you say 3 out of 4 physicians prefer, it better not be 4 physicians that you asked. It better be a reasonable sampling of physicians. And then finally, celebrity endorsements. This seems to come up with some frequency, in my practice at least, where there's an effort to advertise using celebrity information. And of course, we all know that celebrities do endorse things, and when they do endorse things, the advertiser's gotten their consent via contract, usually paying them to be a spokesperson or whatever. The question is, when you don't have the consent of the celebrity, how much information can you use of that celebrity before the thing crosses into the line? And the test there is, have you created a false impression that the celebrity is endorsing this product? And so I love, this is another one of my favorite cases, and I actually brought the script from the commercial, so if you'll indulge me for a second. Does anybody remember who Lou Alcindor is? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay. All right. So back in 1993, this commercial ran. Okay, I'm going to just read you the text. This is a television commercial that ran during the NCAA finals. And it said this. Okay, so the screen goes blank and it says, how about some trivia? A disembodied voice says, how about some trivia? Then the screen shows the printed words, you're talking to the champ, with a capital C. The voice then asks, who holds the record for being voted the most outstanding player of this tournament? And then the screen shows the words Lou Alcindor, UCLA, 67, 68, 69. Okay? The next thing that comes on is a voice saying, has any car made the Consumer Digest Best Buy list more than once? And then the voice responds, the Oldsmobile 88 has. Okay? Then a film clip comes on TV of the car. And as the film clip is shown, the voice says, in fact, it's made the list 3 years in a row. Tying back, obviously, to the 3 years that Lou Alcindor, or Kareem, won the most valuable player. In fact, it's made the list 3 years in a row, and now you can get the 88 Special Edition for just $19,000. Okay, so finally, the screen shows printed words saying, a definite first-round pick, and then it's your money. And finally, it says, demand better, 88 by Oldsmobile. Very, very hotly litigated case. Can anybody guess who won? Who would like to hazard a guess as to who won? Is that, and the question I'm asking is, does that commercial convey the impression that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has endorsed the Oldsmobile 88 or not? Who thinks yes, who thinks no? Mike?
I go with yes.
Yes? Yes? Yes?
Yes, I know.
Well, it was a yes. And hard to believe. Hard to believe. No, it's hard to believe. I think this is a really close case. The court, and most of these cases it's more obvious. Like in one case, Tom Waits, who has everybody knows who Tom Waits is, who has a very distinctive voice and has been very public about the fact that he will not endorse products. He's not participating in the capitalist system or whatever. And so an advertiser went out and got a sound-alike and literally duplicated Tom Waits' voice. The damning piece of information was they first asked him to do it and he said no. Then they went and got a sound-alike and did it anyway. And the court found in his favor. That's kind of an obvious case to me where you did something wrong. You intentionally conveyed the impression by using a sound-alike that he was endorsing the product. This case is a lot harder for me, but the court went on about the fact that, and this is sort of the test. If you just use the trivia, and you see a lot of commercials out there that are celebrating somebody's historical achievements or whatever, you just use the trivia and the name, those are historical figures and their lives and biographies can be used to some extent if they're part of the regular news of our country. They're part of the regular public knowledge base. But and the court focused on this, when you tie it to him by the award being won 3 years in a row, you're talking to the champ, a definite first round pick, you're tying the car to him, and that was those factors were the turning point which in the court's mind crossed the line. And for that reason, the court said that Oldsmobile had appropriated the cachet of Lou Alcindor's name and identity, and that was deemed to be false advertising. So there's a line there, and everybody's got to be very careful about that line.